Hello there. Earned value management is really useful for checking the health of your project. It is used to assess the health of the project at any given time, not only checking the health at that time, but also based on the findings, forecasting the future. So this is a really important technique, and yeah, if you understand it well, it will really help you manage your project effectively. So we're gonna learn about a few things here in this session. So we'll look at traditional management and earned value management. So traditional way of managing the project performance versus earned value way of managing it. And secondly, we're going to look at various phases of the earned value management system framework, how that operates. And next, we'll try to explain work breakdown structure, because it's commonly called WBS. How we used that to define a project means how we represent the project scope in terms of work breakdown structure. Finally, we'll check actually how to create a work breakdown structure, how to create WBS. So brief history of earned value. Earned value was initially conceived and used by Department of Defense, short form called DoD. So 1960s, DoD started using it to manage cost and schedule for the projects. It was really useful because it was an objective measure for the progress. Means it is a objective measure because this is a quantitative way of measuring cost and schedule performance of the project. In 1970s and 80s, Department of Defense they continued to use it because it was really useful. They continue to use it in various aspects in to manage cost and schedule. And starting in 1990s, in that time frame, they opened this great technique to first into the federal agencies, then to other people in the industry to use. So now this technique is widely used throughout the industry globally. Even the project management softwares, such as Microsoft Project, they have this technique built into those tools. So if you have used Microsoft Project, you can see how that software tool can take care of earned value management. So traditional approach to project health management was that there were two data sources, budget or planned. Budget is called, anything planned is called budgeted. So budgeted cost or budgeted, planned schedule versus actual expenditure versus planned expenditures, and actual schedule versus planned schedule. So comparing those two, that was a traditional approach. Okay, comparing to see actually at any given time, looking at the variance. Okay, and there was no mechanism to measure actually what actually has been produced, what actually has been earned or accomplished. That was missing. So with earned value approach, this is possible. In addition to actual versus planned, it also checks actually what has been earned, what has been accomplished. So the underlying notion behind earned value management is that if you are spending any money and any time on the project, you are creating some worth. You are earning some value into the project, and that's what concept of earned value management is. So if you see this diagram here underneath, this shows the traditional management. So there is no earned value here. You have a budget and actual, right? And a dotted line shows you the current, like the date of observation, right? So these are months: January, February, March, April, May, and so on. Now, in earned value management, you see this exhibit down here. You have not only have a budget and actuals here, but you also have earned value and earned value and then forecast, because using the earned value mechanism, you can also forecast. So we will talk about that, how to forecast using the assessment at any given time. This is an assessment at this time, dotted line. So in earned value management, you have not two data sources, but three data sources. In addition to budget or planned value of work scheduled and actual value of the work completed, you also have the earned value of the actual physical work completed. So you know actually by spending time and by spending money on the project, what actually you have accomplished. So again, as I said before, this is the basic concept of earned value management, or EVM, that time spent or money spent in the project creates a worth in the project. For example, when you procure $10,000 worth of raw materials, it would create a value worth $10,000 in the project. This is called earned value, or EV, in short form. So what are benefits of EVM? First of all, you can measure the performance objectively, that means quantitatively, using a uniform unit of measure, because everything is measured in terms of dollar. Whether cost of obviously is in terms of dollars, but when you are checking on schedule performance, you are using dollars there also. And it provides early warning about project health, because at any given time when you check the project health, it based on the work, the performance up to that point. So you know how things are going, whether your project is behind schedule or ahead of schedule, or if it's spending more money than it's supposed to, or spending less than the budgeted amount. So if things are not on track, then it gives you early warning. So so that you can take some action, do something, either initiate a change request if you do need to request more funding and schedule elongation, or uh, do something to bring things back on track. So it's early warning so that it can take appropriate corrective action. And based on a performance at any given time, you can use that data to forecast future. So for example, like if you are behind schedule at any given time, then you make assumption that, okay, if this trend continues, then what is the new time to complete the project? And same thing with the money, actually. If you are spending more than you are supposed to, if that trend continues, then how much more money you need to complete the project? So you can forecast using earned value management. Now, question is how to use EVM. Well, in EVM, you need to have work breakdown structure in place, WBS, because that's scope. You need to know, how do you know what work has been done? You need to know, in terms of scope, what has been delivered, what has been done. So that is coming through work breakdown structure. And you also need to know schedule baseline and also cost baseline, because earned value management helps you check the health of the project in terms of schedule and cost. So what happens, how we use EVM? We look at the difference between actual and planned schedule performance, and also look at the actual and planned cost performance. So the difference between actual and planned schedule performance gives us a schedule variance, or we call it SV. And difference between actual and planned cost performance gives us a cost variance called CV. Okay. And we will look at actually what does it mean, what it means, how we interpret it. And we will learn that in coming slide. And a ratio of earned value and planned value, PV, right? And that gives performance. I mean, that gives us a performance efficiency. Okay, when you look at the index, its ratio gives index EV divided by PV. Okay, so it gives us schedule performance index, SPI. We can use that to forecast. So we can use the index, performance index, that gives us the efficiency of the way schedule is being managed. So we can, assuming that the same efficiency continues in the future, we can forecast. How we design WBS, work breakdown structure. First of all, work breakdown structure is scope of the project. Initially, when the requirements are captured of the project, then they are translated into defining the overall scope of the project. We call project scope statement. And in order to manage the project, actually, you need to have manageable pieces of the scope. So you progressively and hierarchically, you decompose the overall scope into manageable chunks. We call we call a work breakdown structure. Okay. So when we complete that structure, the lowest level elements of the structure are called work packages. And those work packages are deliverable oriented, because when you complete each of the work packages, it must create at least one deliverable each. It should. So each work package is connected to some requirements and some deliverables, right? If something is not in WBS, it's not in the scope. WBS is the final scope that goes into the schedule. And that's what we budgeted for. So each of the work packages, it must be defined. We call a WBS dictionary, because somebody is supposed to own each of the work packages, and the attribute should tell actually what kind of deliverables are associated with each of those work packages, and what is the time frame for delivery of the deliverables, and what is the total cost associated with that, including direct as well as indirect, and who is the owner of that. So this is a sample WBS, serve pizza to customers. So it can be decomposed into further subcomponents, like provide the place, cook the food, serve customers, and maybe more. And then we pick one of the elements in the second layer, cook the food, we say make the dough, cook the sauce, build the pizza. So lowest level of elements are work packages. In this case, make the dough, cook the sauce, and build the pizza. These are the work packages. So these work packages are the ones that are used to manage the project. So these are assigned to owners, maybe all to one owner, maybe different owners. And when each of these work packages, they are actually worked on, they are further decomposed into individual tasks or activities. So as I said before, so work packages are lowest level elements of WBS structure. And they have attributes. I remember I mentioned to you, so the owner of attributes could include who owns that, who is the owner of a given WBS, what is the schedule, and what is the cost associated with that, and what kind of deliverables are associated with that. So scope of the work to be accomplished. So these are the attributes which we have. Is what kind of work it is, what is supposed to produce, what is total cost, and what is the time frame for completion. So these are the major three components of a work package. Here's an example of WBS, another example for Acme Housing Corporation. So they have a house building project. And you know that the house building project, what kind of common elements are there? So it has concrete, framing, plumbing, electrical, interior, roofing, and each of these can be further broken down. And so you see that concrete has a pour concrete, install patio, stairway. Framing has a framing, exterior walls, interior walls, and roofing trusses, and plumbing, and then so on. So the lowest level elements, they are work packages, right? And you see the numbering scheme here. So you start with the 1, then 1.1. So that's how numbering scheme is. It's self-explanatory, right? So 1.1.1, 1.1.2, and so on. And see this 1.1.1 further decomposed. Then you have 1.1.1.1, 1.1.1.2, and so on. So this is the way WBS hierarchical layers are, and elements in all hierarchical layers are numbered. So, and this is what goes into Microsoft Project or any other software you're using. See, on the right hand side, you see that here. Typically, work packages, these are used as a summary task, which are further subdivided into individual tasks or activities. You probably familiar with the triple constraints of project management. Why we call triple constraints actually? Because none of them are unlimited. They are constraints. No project has unlimited time or unlimited scope or cost. So they are constrained, and they make the heart of the project actually, project management. These are the three pillars of project management. All project negotiations, they happen around them. Because if you alter one of them, you have to change at least one more of them. So if you wanna increase scope, it will cost you more money and more time. If you want to shrink the time, actually you want to deliver something quickly, then you may have to reduce the scope or add more cost. If you want to reduce the cost, then maybe you have to prolong the schedule or cut the scope. So that's why I'm saying that this is called triple constraints of project management. And the earned value management basically includes all these three parameters. So includes basically, you look at the performance of the project in terms of cost and time management, and earned value shows how much work is done, which is scope. So earned value management, revolves around triple constraints of project management, right? So what we check here, so triple constraints and earned value management, we all know that projects around us, they are struggling. So typically 70% of projects are over budget, behind schedule. Projects always have some challenges. So earned value management helps to manage the project schedule and budget quantitatively, as I said, numerically or quantitatively. And this is a great way to manage the projects effectively because you are doing it quantitatively. So what we do is, there are mechanism is like you look at the variance, schedule and cost variance. To the variances gives you, they give you health of the project in terms of schedule and cost at any given time when you are looking at it, right? And then efficiency, at any given time helps you forecast in the future for schedule as well as for cost or budget. So the key responsibility a project manager has is to control triple constraints, right? Deliver the scope within schedule and within budget, right? Deliver this. This is what a job of the project manager is, right? So periodically, project health must be checked to see how the planned budget is being spent and how the planned schedule is working. Are we behind the schedule or are we behind the schedule at any given time? Are we spending more than what we are supposed to, or we are okay? And are we producing the results that we are supposed to or not? So one prerequisite is that the WBS must be defined and structured correctly and completely. A project manager should work with the key business stakeholders, and if there is a business analyst, a help from business analyst can be sought to make sure that there is nothing lost when project requirements are translated into project scope and the overall scope decomposed into WBS. Because if WBS is not correct and complete, then earned value results will also be inaccurate. Garbage in, garbage out. So it's really important that this is the prerequisite for earned value management to be effective, that WBS is validated, is correct and complete, and everybody has signed off on that. Everybody means all the key stakeholders. WBS also is mapped to what we call OBS, organization breakdown structure. You need to identify who is responsible for which part of WBS, because an ownership has to be established. Roles and responsibilities need to be defined. As you can see that this one shows the OBS. This exhibit on the right hand side on this slide. So you have a project office, a responsible department, and you have a civil, structure, electrical, plumbing, and then you see the people name right there actually. So whosoever is responsible at different levels. So this shows the WBS associated with the OBS, right? Responsibility need to be defined. Because if there is if your findings say that some corrective action need to be taken, then who to talk to? So those stakeholders need to be identified. So this all this exercise of mapping WBS and OBS leads to defining what we call a responsibility assignment matrix. RAM. So you have a work packages, and then you map them to the person responsible or the role responsible for it. And this is simple a matrix of rows and columns, where rows could be WBS elements and columns could be people responsible. And wherever there is a responsibility, you put a cross mark there. It's a very simple form of responsibility assignment matrix. A refined form of the responsibility assignment matrix is called RACI chart. RACI, RACI chart. It's called R stands for in a RACI chart. What do you do is no, it's a form of a responsibility assignment matrix. But instead of simply putting the check cross marks where there is a responsibility, you also specify the type of responsibility. You specify the type of responsibility. So, for example, responsible means person who has to do the work, who is responsible for doing the work, right? A means accountable, who has the ownership, who is accountable, who has to be answerable to the management or sponsor, right? And C is consulted, people who are subject matter experts. They are used, they are consulted on the project, subject matter experts. And I is informed, senior management, project sponsor, those people who are kept informed on the project performance. Okay, so that's a form of RAM or responsibility assignment matrix, where instead of the crosses for responsibility, actual responsibility type is shown by specifying RACI. So this shows you the RAM chart. So it shows that, for example, here for foundation, the manager who is responsible for that is Manning, and department 6010, right? And this person is also responsible for install patio, for stairway, and next one we have masonry department. It's called the guy Greaves. He's the manager. He's responsible for board foundation and so on. There is a standard terminology in the EVM world. This BCWS or BCWP or ACWP, these are old ways of terminology that were used before the new ones came along. So BCWS stands for budgeted cost of work schedule. Okay, that means that's what you planned actually. So what budgeted cost initially, what kind of budget you have planned. So now we call it PV, planned value. And that's other for the then we also have BCWP, budgeted cost of work performed. But before was a schedule, then this is a budgeted cost of work performed. Work performance is actual work being done, and that's we call it now earned value. ACWP is for the this is for actual cost of AC is actual cost. actual cost of work performed. We call it now AC. So you will deal with the PV, EV, and AC for EVM going forward. So what is a budgeted cost of work performed? This is a planned cost of the total amount of work scheduled to be performed by the milestone date. So as you see that there is a budgeted cost of work scheduled. Budgeted cost means planned cost. What do you have planned? Okay. For the work that has been scheduled. So it's a planned value. Now, ACWP is actual cost of work performed. So is cost incurred. Is actual cost, that actual amount you have spent to do some work that you have done to the point of observation. Then third one is BCWP, budgeted cost of work performed. This is a planned cost, not actual cost. So budgeted means planned cost that you could have used to complete the work that you have done. So this is what you could have spent to do the work. So what you have spent is actual cost, but what you could spend is what you had planned for. So planned or budgeted cost of work performed. That you could spend that much based on your planning. So how we interpret these values? So schedule variance. How we find schedule variance? This is not right. This is not right. It's not divide actually. Schedule variance is earned value minus planned value. So this slash is not right. It's typo. So it should be minus sign here. Minus sign. So SV is equal to EV minus PV. Okay. So how we interpret the variance? If schedule variance is 0 or greater than 0, this is green means good. So SV equal to 0, there's no variance. That means project is on schedule. SV is greater than 0 means project is ahead of schedule, which is good too. If it's less than 0, it shows that project is behind schedule, which is not right. Now for cost, here also there is a mistake here. So cost variance is equal to EV minus AC, not divided by sign. So CV is equal to planned value, planned spending EV minus actual spending, and which is AC. So to interpret this now, CV, if CV is equal to 0 implies project is on budget, which is good. And CV greater than 0 is good too, because it implies the project is under budget. And less than 0 means project is over budget, which is bad. Okay, so now the performance index for schedule is SPI is equal to EV divided by PV. That's what, so you divide when you find the performance index. When you have variance, you subtract. So that sign need to be corrected. Cost performance index is CPI is equal to EV divided by AC. And to interpret this, if SPI is equal to 1, that means 100%. That means you're right on spot, right? Right on schedule. So less than 100%, less than 1 is not good. Greater than 1 is good. Similarly, CPI also. If it's 1, ratio is 1, means 100%, then you are spending just right amount, right? What you're supposed to. If it's greater than 1, you are spending more than what you are supposed to. If it's less than 1, you are spending less than what you could spend. Now, based on the performance that you have identified at any given time, you can forecast. Forecast means estimate at complete, EAC. The budget at complete is when you initially create your budget, BAC. Estimated complete is based on your observation at any given time. You have EAC is equal to budget at complete, BAC, divided by cumulative CPI, it's cost performance index. This is for a cost. Okay. EAC is equal to BAC divided by cumulative CPI. Cumulative means like if your project is 12 months long and you are measuring the health of the project at the end of third month, right? Then cumulative means the CPI of all the 3 months before, like, all the 3 months, month 1, month 2, month 3, cumulative value. You take a cumulative value. When you look at the value of CPI, like for January, for February, for March separately, is called periodic value. But you have to look at not periodic unless they ask you for that. You use cumulative. Okay. Now let's look at a complete example to understand the concept of earned value management. So here we will be looking at the health of the project in terms of schedule and cost at a given time. And based on the assessment, we will also be forecasting the future. So this example reads like, say, estimated cost rate to build a 12,000 yard paved road in a new subdivision development is $20 per linear yard. The total duration of the project is planned to be 12 weeks. At the end of 4 weeks after the project is started, the project team recorded that 3,300 yards of the road have been completed, incurring a cost of $44,000. How can you use the EVM methodology to measure the current performance and forecast the future performance? So let's look at this step by step. First we have to do is understand what our budget is. The budget, the terminology used in EVM is standard. So budget at completion, BAC, so that we have to find based on the information given to us. We know that the total work is 12,000 yards of the road, right? So if you see that, it's 12,000 yards of the road that need to be built. And we know that per yard rate that we can use is $20 per linear yard. So based on this information, we need to plan for a budget of that's $240,000, right? $240,000, because this is the total scope. 12,000 yards of the road, and per unit rate is $20. So you multiply, it's $240,000. So what we need actually for schedule performance, we need PV and EV. First, second step we do is find a planned value. Planned value is what is planned value? This is what we have planned for the work, right? Quantified value of the work that was planned to have been completed at the end of 4 weeks, right? So by spending basically in 4 weeks, what could we have, what we were supposed to accomplish in 4 weeks? Because we are checking the status at the end of 4 weeks. So what, based on what we have planned, what we were supposed to have completed. So that is, we use the reference of our budget initially, BAC. That's the budget for the total scope of the project. So total number of weeks in the project, the duration of the project is 12 weeks. So we are checking actually the work that could have been completed at end of the 4 weeks. So 4/12 of the total budget could have been completed. So when we multiply the total budget by 4/12, we get $80,000. This is also known as, aka known as, budgeted cost of work schedule, BCWS. We saw that before, right? So PV in this case we have $80,000. Now we need to find EV, earned value. So earned value is how much work we have actually done. That PV was that what we were supposed to have completed. EV is what we have actually done. So how we find it? We know that we have completed 3,300 yards total, right? At the end of the 4 weeks. And total scope is 12,000 yards. So we can use this ratio and multiply by the total budget. That will give us earned value. Okay, basically what we are saying is like how much 3,300 yard is for the what rate, what portion of the actual project it is. So total scope is 12,000, and for the 12,000 we have a budget of 240,000. And how much is it for 3,300? So you divide the 240,000 by 12,000 and multiply by 3,300. We get $66,000. This is also known as the budgeted cost of work performed, BCWP. So now we got both PV and EV. So now we can use these values to find variance and also performance index. So how we find variance? SV is equal to schedule variance is equal to EV minus PV. So 66,000 minus 80,000 is minus 14,000. So remember we saw how to interpret this. If it's negative, implies the project is behind schedule. It's negative value here. The project is behind schedule. And this is what we have learned before, right? So project is behind schedule here. Now we need to figure out actually how much behind schedule, because schedule has to be in terms of time, not dollars. We use the dollars to compute quantitatively. Now the formula to translate this information back to time is this: SB time is equal to SB monetized, which is in dollars, multiplied by planned project schedule divided by BAC. So minus 14,000 multiplied by monetizes. So SB monetized, which is minus 14,000, multiplied by planned project schedule, which is total schedule is 12 weeks, and divided by BAC. This is the budget. So it gives us a minus 0.7 weeks. Assuming there are 5 working days in a week, multiply by 5. So we got minus 3.5 working days. So how we interpret this? The project is behind schedule by 3.5 working days. Right? Now, we know the variance now, and now how we need a performance index for forecasting. So what is the efficiency? What is schedule efficiency? The formula for that is SPI is equal to EV divided by PV. 66,000 divided by 80,000. We already found these values. So it gives us a 0.825, which is a 82%, 82.5%, right? So it shows that the schedule efficiency is 82.5%. And remember, I mentioned to you before that if his efficiency is less than 100%, it's not good. So that means project is behind schedule and project is not operating at 100% efficiency for schedule management. Okay. So now how to forecast based on this? So final project schedule forecast is equal to planned project schedule divided by SPI. So we know that 12 weeks is the planned project schedule, and we divide this by the efficiency SPI, the index we found. It gives us a 14.55 weeks. So if we continue with this performance, staying behind the schedule, and now instead of 12 weeks, we will be taking 14.55 weeks to complete the project, right? So we will take that this forecast tells us that we need to plan for 14.55 weeks rather than 12 weeks to complete the project, because we are not operating at 100% efficiency. That's what it means. So we learned how to forecast for schedule based on our observation at the end of the 4 weeks. Okay, now let's look at the cost performance. Here also you start with the BAC, budget at completion. That's a project budget, BAC, $240,000. In this case, we need two items here, AC and EV. AC is the actual cost of the work performed. So basically, AC is given to us 44,000. That at the end of the 4 weeks, we have spent 44,000. Earned value is what we could have spent, what we should have. We could actually spend based on our planning to complete this actual work is 3,300 yards of the work, right? So we have completed 3,300 yards of the work, and okay, based on the planned value that we were allowed to claim, right, $20 per yard, we multiply by the amount of work we have completed. So we were allowed to spend $66,000 for the work we have completed, right? That's earned value. So the formula for cost variance is planned spending minus actual spending, EV minus AC, and gives us a positive 22,000. And we learned that the positive is good. So cost variance, this shows that project is under budget, right? So the project is at this time under budget by $22,000. Now let's look at the index to forecast. So the formula for finding the cost performance index is EV divided by AC. So 66,000 divided by 44,000 gives us 1.5. This is 150%, which is good. More than 100% is good efficiency, right? So the project is spending less than what we are supposed to. So the project is getting a return of 150% with investment of 100%, which is good. So how we find estimated completion complete here? It's EAC, BAC divided by cumulative CPI. Remember we saw that before. So 240,000 divided by 1.5 gives us 160,000. So what does it mean? This means that if we continue to spend at this rate, means staying under the budget, by the time we complete this project, right, we will be spending 160,000. So instead of 240,000 budget that we have planned for, we will be only spending 160,000. And it will save us, in the lifetime of the project, we will save us $80,000. So this is how we forecast based on our observation. So as you can see, earned value management is so useful. It's very, very useful, very practical to quantitatively and objectively assess the project performance, and also based on the assessment, forecast the future performance so that we can manage the project effectively. Thank you.